Rivers and streams in the U.S. have shown virtually no improvement in pollution over the last 5 years. The assessment comes from the EPA and looked at a number of factors indicating the health of our waterways. Over 40% of streams and rivers were categorized as poor condition due to pollutants, and only 35% have healthy fish communities. The biggest culprit contributing to the poor water conditions are phosphorus and nitrogen. In other words, fertilizer. But poor management of runoff makes the problem worse. Increased extreme rainfall events and flooding washes those nutrients into waterways, and due to climate change, things aren't improving in that situation either. There have been some efforts like plant filtering and reduced fertilizer use to lower how much nitrogen and phosphorus is washing into our rivers and streams, but this report shows there has been virtually no improvement despite those efforts.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the show and a very, very interesting report, which I'll share shortly. Keith says, dadgum, that's bad. Let me talk about that a little bit. The fact that nitrogen and phosphorus continue to damage our rivers and streams and is not improved in 5 years is yet another reason why we must have self-treatment by industry and agriculture. This is becoming a national priority because the utilities are not going to do it. It's the farms that are going to have to do it themselves. I remember having spent time in Italy, and I've told you before about this lake, that it was a volcanic lake, so it had sheer sides that were covered with crops, and yet the lake was transparently clear. You could drink the water because the Italians had made sure that the nitrogen and phosphorus from the fertilizer did not run off into the lake. It's a scandal that we have it going, and we have to do something about it, obviously. That's why our mission is more and more important. So with that, I'm going to jump back into the share. I am actually in the field in Montana, helping my wife with her school kids, teaching them how to ski, which is a horrible thing. And, we're putting in through torture, obviously. But I'll be back on Monday, and lots of good things happening, which you'll get the report on right now. So welcome to briefing number 246. Ray says the outflow from Mississippi River into the Gulf of Mexico impacts 7,500 square miles. Gene Tully says, gorgeous country. It is indeed. It's a beautiful place. Okay, usual disclaimers. Now I'm going to jump into the Twitter feed. Go ahead directly into the feed. I'm 2 hours before you, and so things got tight today. But let me just cover this news here. First of all, there is this notorious elephant graph. What is this thing? Well, it shows us that we have a change between 1988 and 2008, and it's only gotten worse, right? We've had a trend where the very poor have remained unchanged, and I would like to say that COVID lockdowns and so forth were horrible for those people, and famine was created, all kinds of terrible things. The winners are the middle classes and emerging economies, particularly China and India. Now, again, not so sure that China is doing so great now, but I think that's a general good statement. Citizens of rich countries with stagnating incomes, plus much of the population of former communist countries, is way down there in terms of their change in real income has reduced. And then we have the very rich. About half are the top 12% of U.S. citizens, also the richest 3 to 6% from UK, Japan, France, and Germany, and top 1% from Brazil, Russia, and South Africa. Again, that's changing because Europe, especially Germany, are entering recession. And I would guess that the very rich have had much more increase in real income due to, again, what happened in COVID. So that's really fascinating. Okay. 2023 shattered records to become the hottest year. And this, it's really amazing. So you can see from the light to the dark that we've definitely had global temperature increases since 1940. That's clear. What our comment about it is that, here we go. What's happening is water stresses are taking place throughout the world. Too much water or too little water. Everything's changing. It means, again, we need to build resiliency. Distributed or decentralized water management is essential. Okay. Trucking employment is falling. Another key sign of what Professor St. Onge called that 70s show, inflation, recession, more joblessness. So a lot of people are saying that the economy is fine, it's roaring along, everything's great. But look at that red graph, recessionary signal for sure. Year-over-year change in truck transportation and all private sector. Employment, again, I think getting into investable assets is where it's at. Okay, just taped a great interview with Corey Cleveland on the Insider's Guide to Finance. A great show that will come out. We'll do snippets later on. China just developed a radioactive battery to keep your phone charged for 50 years. That would be a really nice thing. Now, I don't know about carrying around a nuclear reactor in my pocket, but it does mean that distributed nuclear power is a reality for use in factories, etc. Decentralization. In my opinion, this is how we're going to fix the fossil fuels problem. It's by having practical nuclear. Landlords.
Let's see. All you need is first month's 500 and a deposit of 250. Okay, word. That sounds good. I can do that. Thank you. Let's see now. All you're going to need is first and last 850 and a deposit of 850. All right. I can still do that. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. I'm gonna need my notebook. See, all you need is 3 times the rent. Okay, first and last, 1900, deposit of 1900, a credit score of 750 or higher. Okay, no evictions in the last 12 years. Also, we have no pets, no off-street parking, no backyard, no utilities included. Late fees are $50. Application fee is $65, and it's non-refundable. And you maybe need a 3rd-day job. Yeah. See, also, I'm going to need your firstborn's birth certificate, some Yahoos, and some fruit snacks. Oh, hell no. I'm all set. Thank you.
So renting rates, they're becoming tough and tough on people. I don't know if this guy in the hoodie actually has the option to say no, unfortunately. That is the reality about that. Ray says autonomous trucks are already being tested in our highways, for sure. That, yes, it will have an impact on the trucking numbers, but I don't think that's why the trucking numbers are down at the moment. They will drop, but trucking remains a good indicator. Singapore is about to run an island-wide total defense exercise, and they're going to disrupt their water, their air conditioning, and other things. They're basically, the entire island nation is prepping. The next bailout is definitely commercial real estate, in my opinion. 44% of office building loans are now in negative equity. In other words, the debt is now greater than the property value on all these properties. Currently, banks own $2.9 trillion of commercial real estate debt, majority of which is held by regional banks. So there's no way this is not going to get bailed out, in my opinion. It's just not tolerable. But it is going to lead to some regional banks being in trouble. Why? Because regional banks don't have the lobbying power in Washington that the national banks do. Anyway, but we have a bad situation in commercial real estate for sure. Okay, so that covers the picture, modular water and water on demand. I'm going to play a briefing that I recorded this morning by Daniel Early. Dan, it's a pleasure being with you this morning on the 25th, and you'll be featured with this interview tonight. But this gives us a chance to just kind of take a look at what's going on with modular water. The first thing, of course, is that we have something, water on demand is blowing up, which is actually goes beyond modular water, but you've been a big pioneer with the water demand model. You told us a few months ago that you would, well, the problem with water on demand is that the existing clients that have already gone to bid have already solved their finance problems, so they're not an audience. So you had to look at going earlier to networks or engineers who you would tell ahead of time. And we said, okay, fine, you'll do that, and we'll get around to it. And we were focused then on the regular business. Well, tell us what happened with water on demand.
I'll be glad to, Riggs, and good morning. Good to be with you again. Over the last several months, going back into late fall of last year, I've been working with channel partners down in the Texas region. Texas, as everybody knows, is a hotbed of development and growth, with everything onshoring and coming back to the United States. The big Samsung semiconductor plant in Austin being a good example of the investment being made here in the United States, which is driving an absolute boom in residential commercial growth and into the Austin metro area. And it's like that in Dallas, San Antonio, Houston. So over the last several months, I've been working with several channel partners in the Texas region and these metro regions. And there is an absolute demand, an absolute enormous demand for smaller on-site micro-scale wastewater utilities to keep up with all the commercial and service-oriented development that's taking place to support all of this macro industrial growth that's underway. And so I've been working with these partners. These partners are savvy. They pay attention to the market. They understand what our business model looks like. They understand the water on demand model. And that is the one that has really piqued the interest of a lot of these smaller micro-scale managed service utility customers. So last week I was in Austin. I spent 3 days working with several of our strategic partners in the region. And we have a number of different opportunities that we are actively pursuing right now, which are being driven by the end user and by the customer, who are just absolutely enthralled with the concept of water on demand, where we bring the whole package. It is the finance, it's the engineering, equipment, installation, and long-term managed services for like a 10-year term, a 20-year term, or what have you. So that is what we've been working on over the last several months in that Texas region. I am really excited about what I'm seeing and hearing from these partners and these end users that have really shown significant interest in water on demand.
These tend to be smaller units, right? And also much simpler, which is a big concern of mine.
It is, and that's another good thing about this particular opportunity and the market as a whole in this region. The systems are usually at 5,000 gallons per day or less, which is not a lot of water. It's not a lot of wastewater, but the real estate value potential that you can realize from an on-site 5,000 gallon per day system, the associated real estate could be worth tens of millions of dollars. It's amazing what this little small micro utility does to contribute to the overall developed value of it, whether it's a light manufacturing facility or if it's a services facility that's a new facility serving the communities that are growing and springing up all around Austin and these regions like that. So smaller systems, much simpler, easier to manage, less onerous from a technical perspective. There's no iron fist regulatory limits being imposed upon these types of customers. It is a perfect match for water on demand.
For water on demand, especially at our early phase, where we really, I'm a big believer in sandbagging the problems and trying to keep things simple at first, because I was in software and everything goes wrong in software. So starting with something that is very approachable. So you're saying that 5,000 gallons per day unit has a very high strategic value for these light manufacturing or residential facilities?
Yes, it does. It does. What's happening, it's really amazing. So if you ever have an opportunity to go and travel in these metro regions, as you get beyond the urban centers and you're getting into the outskirts, the sprawl, the growth and the expansion of development in all directions is unfathomable. It's incomprehensible. The billions of dollars, the tens of billions of dollars being spent in real estate development and infrastructure systems, roads and water and sewer and all of that to keep up with the commercial, residential, light manufacturing, heavy manufacturing, unbelievable. But what's happening is the local public utilities have no capability whatsoever to extend public sewer in all of these directions in a timely enough fashion to support and keep up with the growth. When you need a certificate of occupancy in 4 months and your sanitary sewer, public sewer is 6 years away, that doesn't work. So the developers and the engineers turn to these decentralized utility systems and an overwhelming majority of them are not large systems. These 5,000 gallon per day and less, that actually is a regulatory threshold in Texas. Up to 5,000 gallons per day, you fall under one type of permit. Greater than 5,000, you fall under a more stringent permit. And so when you have these managed on-site managed services, micro utilities, everything is specific to that individual lot base, that individual property boundary. It's a perfect model for water on demand. It really is. On-site disposal, but also zero liquid discharge concepts. In Texas, where the water is a premium, we talked about applying water on demand with a zero liquid discharge technical capability. And that right there, I would not be surprised to see us deliver one or two of those systems this year.
So for our audience, let's explain briefly what ZLD consists of.
All right, so ZLD, zero liquid discharge. And what that means is you consume your potable water at the sink, at the tap, at the faucet. It gets converted to wastewater. You flush a toilet, so you generate wastewater. So instead of discharging the wastewater to the local environment, like through a drain field system or a spray irrigation system, or pumping it to public sewer, what you'll do is you'll treat it to an exceptionally high standard, polish that water, and recirculate that water back into the building for toilet reflush, cooling tower water. There's a number of ways, and you can continually recycle that water for a fairly lengthy period of time. And that way you're minimizing the consumed water, the purchased potable water that you purchased at the meter. So that's an example, and the technology has been there for the last 10 years, but this is the perfect application for those types of things.
So really, we're talking about reuse, recycling, right? That's really what it's about. Yeah.
It is. Zero liquid discharge. Zero liquid discharge is a fancy word for reuse and reclamation, wastewater reuse and reclamation.
Well, whatever gets it done, right?
Yep. Just another way of skinning the cat.
So the state of Texas is pushing this. Who's behind zero liquid discharge?
The market. It's a combination of forces, a combination of factors. The pressures on the industry to keep up with and to provide sustainable wastewater service. First off, it's all about providing wastewater service. It starts there. But then you have to figure out each site might be a little different. Each application may be a little different. If you're in a location where your property is just not big enough to support an on-site drain field system, zero liquid discharge is an absolutely viable path forward. It's sustainable. It is super green as far as conserving water resources.
Sure.
So it's a factor. It's a multitude of factors that contribute to using that type of technology.
So it's not just regulatory. They have a commercial incentive to actually do this.
They do. I will tell you, it's site specific and it's commercial incentive. It really is. If you want to realize if you are looking to realize the real estate value of a piece of property, especially in a growing region like the Austin metro region, if you can't wait on public sewer and you've got the land resource available to you, you can take advantage of the 5,000 gallon per day system, the permitting regulation, and this zero liquid discharge concept, and you can deploy those very effectively and incredibly fast, which helps you as a developer get to where you need to be with your site development, your building, and your final certificates of occupancy.
So what does this mean in terms of being able to multiply numbers and get into a cookie cutter type sales situation?
Good question, Riggs. So what it means in this particular instance, and again, I'm going to focus on the Austin metro region. In that region, in working with our channel partners down there, when I questioned them about what is the addressable market for these 5,000 gallon per day type systems, the message that I hear from our partners is it's in the hundreds of systems per year. Now, that may not seem like a lot, hundreds of systems, but we're talking when you go hundreds times 5,000 gallons per day, it adds up very, very quickly. It is a huge market. By the wastewater industry standards, is a huge addressable market. So what that means is that with this type of demand, addressable market and demand, we with our modular water systems engineering team, we have developed what we call our commercial series treatment package. And this is a package that is geared for the TCEQ, the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. This TCEQ based design and treatment package is set up so that we can go in, check all the boxes that the state of Texas is concerned about, and we can deliver a very standardized, rapidly delivered on-site treatment system that you could apply for these 5,000 gallon per day systems. And it could be on-site disposal, or it could be a zero liquid discharge concept. This size range is perfect. It's not a big complex equipment package. Very manageable, easy to deliver to the site, easy to manage and install, durable, sustainable. It leverages our heavy plastic manufacturing capabilities. So it's geared perfect for this type of market. It allows us to really scale our manufacturing and to achieve this assembly line manufacturing concept that we've been pursuing now for the last several years.
Well, that's amazing. What would be, if you were selling it, what would be the price range of such a unit?
Basic package, the basic entry-level package, if you're doing on-site drain field disposal, drip irrigation, low-pressure discharge disposal at 5,000 gallons per day, our entry-level system is right around 100,000 gallons, and it's a single-tank design. It's a pipe in and it's a pipe out, and it's a single power connection with remote monitoring capabilities. So it's not just a dumb plug-in. It's not a fire and forget type of system. It is a really actively managed, intelligent application for advanced wastewater treatment. So about 100,000 gallons, depending on what options. And then it's like going to the
$100,000.
$100,000 for that package. And if you come to us and you need upgrades, you want to add an equipment building to protect your equipment, some of the external equipment that's like aeration blowers and control panels, we can add a control building, we can add an effluent pump station, influent pump station, additional functionality. It's like going to the dealership and checking boxes to select the options you want on your vehicle.
So it could get up to 175, something like that.
Right now, 150, yeah, with the modular equipment building that comes with it and an effluent pump station, 150, that's a good number. 150 is a really good number.
Okay, and so it's not a lot of money, but really what these partners are interested in is that over hundreds of units, it dramatically reduces the capital expense for them, and they can just commission it. And it also sounds like the customer then essentially is just paying on the meter. We become the private utility for them. And what I like about it, because I've been very concerned in larger installations, you get into a network management problem, especially if you're required to meet certain effluent standards that have to be monitored in real time. And I started being concerned that and this is why, of course, we have a letter of intent to acquire a software company specifically to create that. But what you've told me is this can be run on a regular customer service basis without a complex software network. Correct.
That's another big upside to this particular market application. The technology is really straightforward. We do have a remote monitoring and control capability, but it's not super complex. Mm-hmm. The regulatory industry that oversees and that dictates compliance, it's not an onerous process. And our channel partners, this is the part I like about this particular market opportunity for us. Our channel partners are already in place. They are already in the network working with engineers and contractors and the regulatory agencies. So they have an immediately addressable book of business. So all we've got to do is just really tap in and really start selling these systems and bringing these systems online. Our channel partners, they end up being our de facto installers. So we don't have to work for that. We don't have to look at, they become our licensed contract operators. So we will be forming, and we're already doing that now, forming strategic relationships, setting up partnerships to service this market here in Austin.
Well, that's so exciting because, first of all your design is simplified to one cookie cutter unit. So and the second thing, of course, is as we capitalize the company, I was talking about this with Sean Shoemake at Plastic Welding Fabrication, who is, of course, our strategic partner, and we have a letter of intent to ultimately potentially acquire him. he was excited about building ahead and filling his lot with hundreds of these units built ahead of time. At that point, Dan, we become order takers. We're like, okay, you ready? We're shipping it out tomorrow, right? How cool is that?
That is very cool. But again, it's all part of the vision that we've had for these last several years, is to get to that point where we can start mass producing these things, and we put them on the yard, and when the customer needs it, they call up, and they can take immediate delivery. That is unique to this industry, because a 5,000 gallon per day treatment system is not you don't find those setting on the yard at other facilities. It just doesn't exist. It just doesn't work when you get to that size. And what will be really cool about this is that our manufacturing model and our approach to the tank delivery system, it really facilitates pre-manufacturing and having these units ready for immediate purchase and delivery to the job site.
Well, 100 units a year at 150,000 is $15 million, which takes care of a lot of your quota. Now, one of the issues, of course, is that you're going to see, and this is where we're going to have to essentially modular water will end up being paid by the Water on Demand Fund. You're still going to get your cash. You're going to be cashed out as a business unit, right? Because it would be stupid for now. You're on a 10-year income plan, but in fact, what's great is that the Water on Demand, like GM Financial, right? GM Financial pays the dealer. The dealer's done. Now GM Financial carries the car with the driver. In this case, Water on Demand as a fund goes ahead, is commissioning the unit. Modular Water builds it and ships it out. And basically, Water on Demand is the quartermaster, paying everybody out, paying you, paying the local partner, paying for service, and of course, charging the appropriate per gallon rate and returning dividends to investors. And it's great because it makes your sales process very slick. You're not having to collect $150,000. You just get to sign a piece of paper and you get $150,000. Thank you very much. Kind of works well, doesn't it?
It does. I would say it is the one thing that probably makes this model accelerate rapidly. The old school conventional funding methods, again, I've always told everybody for the last 10, 15 years in this industry, the funding element and trying to get your brain wrapped around the cost of these things. And if you're a developer and you've got to come out of pocket for 100,000 or $500,000, depending on what size system you're buying, I don't care what it is, it represents a really big financial obligation. So when you look at the GMAC and the GM finance model, and you think about Water on Demand being applied in that method, I mean, the analogy and the comparisons are exactly the same. You get a car, they provide the financing, you pay your monthly premium or whatever your monthly payment is, lease payment, but you also, what you get is over the life of the ownership of the car, much like on Water on Demand with our system, instead of getting free oil changes, you get a filter change, an air filter change, or you'll get a submersible pump replacement or a little aeration blower replacement. All these things are built in and become standard, and you don't have to worry about it. It's all on a preset, on a preventative maintenance schedule. We bundle everything into a single cohesive package that really pulls all these disparate parts and pieces together that have really plagued this industry and made it really onerous and difficult to accomplish. So we have simplified the complex. That is in fact the motto of Modular Water, simplifying the complex, and that's what you're doing. But what is also really, really good, and this is what I like, because Water on Demand is our unit, and so is Modular Water. We're all in the same ownership, and so we're getting these incredible economies, and adding, of course, the fabrication. Normally, we'd be dealing, for example, with an external. Like normally, you'll have the customer go to a leasing company. Well, the leasing company now made the money, not you, right? So by bringing it in-house with Water on Demand, first of all, it's not leasing because we continue to own the unit. So that's right. 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 It's an asset. We own this. That's the cool thing about this. That's what really, if you're an outside investor looking at this thing, there's an asset ownership model right here that really is unique.
Boy, this is actually exciting. Now, you also had some good. You did a retrospective over the last few years. We've grown from nothing in 2018. You became profitable in 2021, and the numbers initially were very, very small. But then you just did a retrospective on just how much you've accomplished since 2018.
Yep. And this is really exciting. And I'm happy to report that when we closed out 2023, I've been so busy, been nose down, working so hard. I really haven't had a chance to look at what we've accomplished over the last several years. And so I was working with Colin Sherman. He's our operations manager, and he and I sat down one day and we sort of went through all of our contract deliveries and everything that we've accomplished since going back to 2018. And in the last 2 years, we have delivered we've delivered 63 different equipment packages or equipment components, and that's across like 8 different product line capabilities, whether it be pump stations or the containerized treatment systems or the Averatreat package system that goes in ground, headwork systems, the Averabox modular equipment buildings, ancillary equipment, that type of thing. All of it leveraged around our heavy plastic manufacturing model, like a mini gigafactory, for the lack of a better analogy. And so that I'm really super pleased with what we've accomplished over the last several years. The bulk of the deliveries of those 63 units and all of it was in the last 24 months. So
yes, I mean that's really when things sort of the hockey stick kind of took off. Mm-hmm. And it is highly commendable, Dan, you and your team, because you've obviously had a huge amount of capital. That's one of the reasons why we're looking at this expansion to give us the capital we need. But you did it without, and that is you've been scrabbling and doing an amazing job. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. My pleasure. It's proof. I will tell you, it's proof of the validity of the business model and the product capability. The engineers and the end users want what we have. It's an easy sell. It really is.
Wow.
It really is.
And the thing that's killed us is not so much the design phase and so forth, but the customer having to go through the funding process, and that's what adds all the delays and the time. If that goes away, then the acceleration could be amazing, and it's going to be really, really helpful to ultimately, when we get to it, to have pre-stock. One last note before we go, because I know you've got a busy day. You've got a new staff member who's brought in some new process. Tell me a little bit about it.
Yeah, so last fall we had, I've been looking for an engineering manager, somebody to come on board to help me build the internal technical team, the engineering team that we need to support the scaled growth that we're pursuing. And so I had an individual by the name of John Vines. He actually would chase us down. He was very interested in seeing our business model and was learning more and more about water on demand and modular water systems. He heard that we were looking for an engineering manager, and so he and I connected. I got to know him, and his skill set, he has worked with Fortune 50 and Fortune 500 companies in his past career, and he has successfully built and scaled in-house engineering teams for these companies. He's actually built and scaled his own engineering team for his own consulting purposes in business. So John joined our team, John Vines, and he has been he's had an absolute immediate impact. He is setting up programs, software capabilities, internal processes, the things that you have to have if you're going to go from a small organization and you're going to grow it to scale it to a much larger capability. So John has been an absolute treasure to have on board. Super excited. In fact, after this meeting here with you, I'm going to have another meeting with him, and he's really helping refine things and setting in place the processes that we need as an engineering team to scale and grow.
Well, as a software geek, I'm loving that he's fully using the capabilities of Microsoft SharePoint and all of the bits and pieces. Because one of my the things that hate is this proliferation of spreadsheets everywhere. And what it does is now you have dashboards and you have a database, and it's and you have your integrated planner, task management, and so forth. And I'm just tickled pink because it's very hard to get adoption of those things. People tend to go for the low tech, but it doesn't scale. The low tech doesn't scale. You have you've got to have an integrated environment. So I'm super pleased with that. And the software product manager and me is extremely happy. So with that, really, I'm really appreciative of what John's doing. And of course, the rest of your team. Go ahead and mention the rest of your team real fast, because I think they're doing wonderful, commendable work. Yeah,
over the last year, I'll tell you what, a huge, I cannot do this without a team. It takes a team to make all this stuff happen. The success goes to the team, not just one individual. A big shout out to Colin Sherman. He's our operations manager. He came on board and joined the team about 12 months ago. He's been absolutely phenomenal in the impact he's had on at the operational scale and operational level. Rob Litos, technical project manager. Bill Maynard, senior project engineer. Kyle Hackett, he's a junior engineer, joined our team here last summer. Guy Yo, all of these people are fundamental to the success that we're having. The process, what it is this core group have been working day and night and building the process that we need so we can fast track all of the things that we do. So it's I'm very appreciative, very thankful and grateful for the people that have got on the team.
Well, thank you, Dan, for building it. And I know Colin's doing wonderful work, and the rest of the team. So thank you so much for what you're doing. I'm super excited about what's ahead. Wish you a good day, and enjoy the rest of your January, what's left of it. All and right. Let's rock and roll.
Sounds good. Thank you, Riggs. Take care.
All right, my friend. Well, that was really interesting. And I just want to highlight that what we're talking about here is an opportunity to work with a network of customers. I can't get into details right now because we're hopefully inking the strategic partnership that we'll be able to announce. But one thing's for sure, it's a 5,000 gallon unit, but below which up to 5,000 gallons, the permitting requirements with the Texas Environmental Commission are very low compared to above 5,000. And they're very simple for water on demand to manage. There's not a lot of criteria. So network management is not an issue. You could use ordinary facilities managers at these sites. And it's potentially hundreds of these just clicking off. So water on demand just went live with this. And I was in the forecast. If you look at our strategic deck, if you go to OriginClear under presentations, you'll see the strategic deck on water on demand. And I only had planned one water on demand unit in 2024. Everything else was a conventional sale, only because I was concerned about tripping on the technical issues of the software management, et cetera, and also getting the clients. Well, Dan just accelerated it on us big time, which is very exciting because, of course, water on demand is our core mission. It's important what Modular Water does, but water on demand is the game changer. So I'm very, very happy with what that story is about. It got a little engineering. You're going to get some details out of Dan, but I think it was worth it. All right. So I had planned to play some snippets and so forth, but I think it's time to jump right into the freewheeling discussion because this was a significant interview, and I'd like to go ahead and invite Ken and AJ to jump on.
It would be nice if you broke news. If I knew before the briefing that these news stories are breaking, right?
AJ knows. We've been talking about this press release.
You're right. I've been down in the foxhole. You're all day. You're right. I pulled my head out like an hour ago. Dirt on my face. It just. You're right.
AJ, am I right? It was not a secret.
No, it's not a secret. No.
Thank you.
No, just listen. I'm not going to take it personally. It was just a secret to me. It's no big deal.
No, I have to be very selective. I can only talk about, very narrow topics with you. I'm just joking, of course.
No, I get it. Small words.
Oh, too funny. It's incredibly exciting. I had mentioned that Dan was supposed to get back to us with the strategic partner, and that is what's going on. So this strategic partnership is being inked, and obviously the deal's not done till it's done, but we're looking to make an announcement on that pretty soon. So while that was going on, I was like, well, why don't I go ahead and interview Dan? Now, what's interesting about this? Number one, I love the cookie cutter. I love that we've gotten around the whole software complexity, blah, blah, blah. And number two, that it is a network, so that we do one, right? And they will handle the commissioning and maintenance.
Right.
I mean,
the sausage making, as they say.
I'm a child about this stuff.
Well, the sausage making, right?
Yeah.
Because it's the plunk next, plunk next, plunk next, right?
Exactly.
And then you let the more of the administrative. Look, you want to bog down brilliant engineers with administrative paperwork. That's a great use of resources, right? So it's this thing that's evolved in our minds over the past couple of years. Now, so in fairness, I was just looking at my Slack channel. I was in the other Slack channel. You're right, all day. So this is the one that we discussed with, and I won't mention names, but this is the company that we mentioned the other day with Bill Charneski, where he sent over the.
No. That was Sean Shoemaker, and that is the acquisition.
No. The next one. I was already on the next one.
What this is, it is in Texas. It's in the Austin area.
Yeah.
And it is a particular vertical application that we already have installed.
Yeah. I know who they are then. Okay, fine. That was because that seemed very early just a week ago. I mean, it seemed. No, I mean, am I wrong? That was like discussions, right? And it was like, oh, it's going really well, and then wow, bang, that's great.
Don't blink. Don't blink.
I know. I'm gonna.
Dude, the speed of everything else that's been going on lately, nothing surprises me anymore. But it's great.
Right. It's so true, AJ. And I have to say, you guys are firing on all cylinders. I also want to tell everyone that we are in planning on a Regulation A offering. And I can't tell you when it'll be, because that would be getting too specific. But OriginClear is going to have another Reg A, and that's important. I've always talked about the need to not just have a few large investors carrying the load. They've been heroes, but we want to get a lot of small investors. It creates a movement, it creates visibility for the stock, et cetera. And there's going to be very interesting things for our core investors that I will not be getting into right now. Oof.
And it has nothing to do with the Reg A, I promise.
No, but on that point though, keep your eyes on your emails. We're going to be sending out a series of emails. You actually should have already gotten one. If you haven't, then you need to make sure that you sign up for the. I mean, you already signed up for the CEO briefing, so you're getting these emails. But there's an announcement that was made. There's going to be a series of emails that are coming out with the opportunity to register for basically instant notification when it's live. So we'll give you more details on that as we get closer to it, but make sure that you guys have your emails, whitelisted for the OriginClear emails. And it's exciting stuff. You've been saying it for a long time, Riggs, and so with you, Ken, right? Like it's one of those things where we're living in the current offering with, again, these wonderful investors that we have that have been doing a lot of heavy lifting. But the whole point of kind of this movement of OriginClear as an incubator and water on demand is to allow the everyday investor to get a piece, right? Get into this whole mix.
I think also making it available as a Regulation A offering to the general public, it democratizes the opportunity. It allows people that wouldn't normally have kind of a really cool deal placed in front of them. And I also believe it plays a big role in, we could probably bring Josh Will in on this. This is what helps create virality.
Yes.
Because you're right. So your accredited investors, they're like me, right? They're running businesses, and I mean they go in their foxhole every day to do their business, and when they come out, they want to eat and go to sleep. But they're not sitting there buzzing away on social media so much. I mean, except for Riggs.
Yeah, because that's what I do all day.
Well, we won't give away your real secret, right? But folks out in the mainstream,
Yeah.
in these large numbers, will have this kind of, inverted funnel effect, right? It'll be a good megaphone for our message. Everybody wants to play a role in, first of all, taking some control of their own personal wealth with an asset, for God's sake, especially people who don't get opportunities in the market.
Right.
People who, they don't have a stockbroker call them up and, hey, bud, I got an idea and I got a great, they don't get that.
Right.
And generally speaking, the general public only gets to kind of eat after institutional investors have played. And it's kind of like, after they kind of get the leftovers, right? And as a result, a lot of your average investors lose money that way because they kind of get in, after everybody's kind of already, created a lot of hype. So the ability to put folks involved in this thing at the very, very, I call us at the end of the beginning. And would you categorize that, Riggs, as accurate?
I think it's a very good. It's definitely on the upswing long before this. First of all, I don't want to make it clear that the Regulation A that we're planning is on OriginClear, not Water on Demand.
Yes.
Because Water on Demand is about to go into quiet period with the merger, and I can't say when we will have the registration with the SEC, but I can tell you it is soon, and so we can't play around with offerings. That will happen with OriginClear, and then OriginClear is becoming this. First of all, OriginClear is currently the majority owner of Water on Demand, and will continue to be the largest owner, which will therefore benefit the OriginClear shareholders. But in addition, we have a whole lineup of incubations, incubation/accelerations that we're going into the funnel, and so we're going to have a lot of fun with OriginClear, while still making sure Water on Demand is a big success.
We're gonna birth this first incubation. We're gonna pay very careful, nurturing attention to it, get everything it needs in the early stages of its life until it has, that truly solid independence to be able to, where we can turn our attention. But at the same time, while we're doing that, we can chew gum and walk a straight line. Mm-hmm. We're also in that second barrel. We've already got our next incubation, right? And that's going to be vital to some of our other incubations. So there's exits built in. I mean, we're thinking ahead in a very three-dimensional way to try to maximize outcomes for the folks that, quite honestly, got us here. Folks compliment Riggs and myself and you guys. Listen, you can be as smart as you want and clever as you want, but without support from folks like you, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
So we want to make extra careful attention to making sure that you guys are going to have front center seats to every future one. And here's what's happened during this arduous process, Riggs. We got pretty good at it. And we got to know, if he drops his right, if he drops his shoulder, he's throwing the right, he's throwing the uppercut. So we can see some of these things, and we can see how how circumstances telegraph themselves, and we're going to be able to navigate these future processes, I think, much more efficiently. We've also, some by accident, some with deliberation, we found the right legal team to help us do things, and so on and so forth. So we've assembled the Justice League, right? We've got all these great players, and now it's as we enter the final stages of the first beginning, we simultaneously begin a new one. So that's exciting as heck. And bringing in ordinary investors, giving them access, making them part of. Look, and also I want to mention this: you guys are part of a community, and AJ and I and Riggs are talking about creating social media channels only for OriginClear investors. We're going to do live streams. We're going to speak directly to you. So this is all going to be good fun and very, very informative.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. And I want to answer a couple questions. Marshall Barrow wants to know, do the new SEC SPAC regulations change any of your SPAC merger plans? I can tell you this, the new investor protections, first of all, they really apply to new SPACs, but even for the existing SPAC situation, we have a very high level of governance in place that, there's all kinds of disclosures required for enhanced disclosures about conflicts of interest, SPAC sponsor compensation, dilution. We already do that, right? So for us, we have superlative legal support, incredibly expensive. It makes me shudder how much we spend on legal for the SPAC, but that makes us fully compliant.
Don't get me started. But
I lose all my hair over this. You know that, right?
They're worth their weight in gold. They are. Yeah. We learned more in probably a 2-hour consultation with them than we had learned thus far. So a couple things. The new SEC regulations, and I read them today because actually an investor brought that to me, and it seems very much to me, without being a legal expert, that they do apply to new future SPACs. Okay, I think they want to prevent this whole collapse process that had happened to so many, so they're putting safeguards in place. I think it has little to no effect of where we are, and we're being governed, or we're being guided very much by tremendous legal expertise. And also, there was another question pertaining to the reg. I think it was by Emil. Emil, all of this stuff, none of this stuff is known yet. We're working on it. When we're able to speak on it and able to give specifics, we're gonna add you to our waiting list, to our reservation list. Anybody who enters the reservation list for the Regulation A will not only get first access when it goes live, if it goes live, assuming it does, but we're gonna work on making it, even more worth your while if we can. So stay tuned on that.
Good. As always, be sure to talk to Ken about the latest developments. He is able to brief you properly, schedule a call. And as always, please fill out your Zoom survey. They're super important to us. We do read them carefully. All in all, I'm super happy about the development of the marketing department. AJ, you and your guys are doing a rock star job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then in corporate development, Ken and his team are killing it. And then, as you saw, MWS is on a roll. Progressive, you had a 2-hour meeting with Tom Marchisello?
I had a 2-hour call with Tom Marchisello today, and it was a fantastic call, kind of talking about where PWT wants to kind of move and maneuver in the space and what they want to be known for, as we're redoing a bunch of different things like the site, how we want to position them. They've got a great story to tell that I don't think has been told enough. So there's fantastic opportunities for you guys to get to know more about the history of these companies and so much of, the kind of gritty brilliance of everything that we've been doing so far with MWS and Water on Demand through these OriginClear incubations. You look at a company like PWT that's been a cornerstone for 25 plus years, and where they've started, where they come. It's a really interesting story to tell, and I'm very excited that we get to tell it to you guys here in the near future. So.
Well, AJ, you have the last word, so thank you very much. Keith Rutan gave us 3 thumbs up, so that is a great vote. Thank you, everyone, and it is the 25th, so the next one will be in February already. I'm excited about what's going on, and I expect we'll have some interesting announcements coming, but stay tuned. Thank you so much, and have a great weekend.
Good night, everybody.